I'm just giving everybody a moment to settle in, to find your spots, and to get comfortable. Tonight's going to be pretty important. We got a lot of updates to get through. So, hopefully, you guys aren't doing anything for the next 20 minutes or so. You can take the time, catch these updates, be fully up to speed with everything we've just been working on in the past few days, and let's get into it. I'm going to give about 30 seconds for anybody else that wants to join to hop in to go ahead and have that privilege. Just make sure you're sharing the links. I will again. I'm going to send the link real quick to my server so that way they can get in as well. I don't want them out. Boom. Welcome in. I can see all of your comments across Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, X, all of our platforms we have going on right now, Facebook. So go ahead, drop your comments, and we'll be able to address your questions in real time if you guys have anything relevant to what we're speaking about today. Without further ado, welcome back to the Ascended Podcast. I'm going to start doing a live stream every single day until we launch the project in 10 days. We're going to make a final massive push to get as many people in as possible. And I'm going to give you guys some very important updates today about what the project is doing and where it's going. But with that comes the topic of discussion. I'm your host, Caleb Schulke, and today's episode is about something bigger than NFTs, something bigger than hype campaigns, and especially bigger than that surface level marketing that most of these types of programs like to do. It's about what creates actual movements, which we've talked about on the last few episodes. Hype versus vision. Brands like Supreme and those like Apple, with two different philosophies about attracting and maintaining their audience, both equally successful in their own way. And how do these two forces collide to build communities that actually last? Additionally, I'm going to take you through the behind the scenes of Altura. If you haven't been here yet, the syndicate that we're building, and show you exactly why the whitelist, the pre-sale phase that's opening on October 1st, is the most important step in the journey and why it's the biggest potential to make generational wealth that you will see in the next decade, in my opinion. By the end of this episode, you'll understand how hype has built a billion-dollar brand like Supreme and why vision is the only way to sustain that energy and that drive. And more importantly, you're going to see exactly why and how we're putting that into practice through Altura. So settle in. It'll be about 25 minutes, and let's get into it. Hype is one of the most misunderstood forces inside of a business. It looks irrational from the outside most of the time. People are lining up for shoes, the iPhone, they're camping outside the store, right? Refreshing websites on Black Friday to get the limited time drops. But the truth is, hype is just belief condensed in a can into a singular point in time. Without time, you have brand. With time, you have hype. That's the biggest way and most simple way to break this down. Welcome in everybody again. Welcome in Dan. Welcome in Anthony. What's up, Mimi? Hype is translated across different languages, cultures, and countries. I want you to think about the company I just mentioned, one of the most notorious brands to do it in the hype game, which is Supreme, right? Supreme Clothing. At first, it was just a skater brand in New York City. Nothing really revolutionary. But what made it massive was the deliberate scarcity of the brand. They dropped fewer items than people ever wanted, right? They created a ritual. Thursdays are drop days. They gave early adopters bragging rights. They only had probably 10% of the actual items to suffice for the amount of people that wanted to buy. Or look at Bored Ape Yacht Club. They didn't just sell monkey pictures, right? They sold the idea of being inside the same circle as A-list celebrities out of Hollywood in Beverly Hills. Now, those same NFTs that minted for a few $100s, just like ours, can go for six figures, and are to this day. That's hype. It's not luck, it's engineered. But here's the problem. Hype alone doesn't last because it's restricted by time. It's like a baseball game or a football game, right? Once the event's over, once the drop happens, hype dies off quickly. If Supreme didn't have consistent quality behind every drop and they weren't going to come back next Thursday, the brand would have died. If Bored Apes didn't create events, parties, networking, holders would have sold and moved on, especially if they didn't keep bringing more and more important people in the community. I'm also going to mute my volume real quick because you guys are blowing up in the community and stuff, but I appreciate it. Keep chatting. Hype gets you attention. Vision keeps you inside of the game. And right now in Web3, it's kind of weird because we haven't seen the traction pick up yet from the crypto market transitioning with this great Fed announcement we just had. It's soon to come. And while we're getting into the preparation route, while the hype of the announcement died off, and now the real institutions are coming in and buying value stocks at low prices when the actual money hits the economy, those are going to be people that come in and focus on brand. Hype gets you attention, but vision keeps you in the game. They launch most NFT collections that are based on hype, and they pump and they fade. Altura is different from a definitional standpoint. Our hype is the ignition. We use that to pump into brand. Brand is established after, and we use hype strategically at certain points to translate people from stage 1 to stage 2. The real engine is the vision. So that leads me into the biggest question you're probably asking right now. What is the vision of Altura? Altura is not another NFT. It's not a picture or an icon or whatever you really want to call it. It's basically a syndicate, a private collection of network of entrepreneurs. You guys could be starting a clothing brand. You could be a day trader. You could be working on software. You could be a course seller. You could be a podcaster like me. You could be a million other things, a coach, right? But it's a launch pad for everybody because there is some way that every single person inside the community can find value. You either buy the NFT and you hold on to it. That access pass goes up in value as we continue to invest in your companies. You get access to a global network of builders, access to startup funding for your specific brand, education modules designed to replace outdated business schools, enterprise tools worth thousands of dollars a year, which could be, for example, maybe somebody in here builds the next Netflix. You guys would get lifetime subscriptions to Netflix because Altura funded that person's company and we own part of that company. And therefore, everyone that also holds one of our tokens gets to share that benefit. Now, obviously, we're not just going to be Netflix investing, right? This is going to be practical tools that are specific to entrepreneurship, ideally. But we'll diversify as the time and the money comes in to build the brand and the vision further. Think about that for a second. What I just said, for a couple $100, you're locking in tens of thousands of dollars worth of tools, networks, and funding opportunities. That's the difference between hype and vision. That's the difference between buying a hammer, quite literally, Supreme sold a hammer with their logo on it, and buying something that continues to drive value and actually puts money into your pocket every single month and grows in value by the time you're willing to sell it. Hype creates the spark. It gets you guys interested. That's what I'm doing right now. Vision builds the fire that keeps building and burning. And it becomes inevitable, right? When the smoke from the fire, when too many of you guys get engaged, when you're chatting up in the community, you're probably blowing up the chats and talking right now. But when you eventually all get active and we're too big to not notice, that's when hype turns into vision. I want to talk about the actual process. So what does that look like in a practical sense from turning a hype-based community and vision into an actual brand with a legacy that is as big as Apple or Starbucks or Target, right? Or Bored Ape Yacht Club. On October 1st, we're going to begin what's called the Whitelist Mint. If you've never been part of an NFT project, the Whitelist Mint is essentially early access. It's the first people let into the store on Black Friday because they waited in line. The first 100 people, right? And then they close the doors up. They say, we got to wait to let more people in. You guys were on the whitelist, which means you get a price that is 1/3 approximately lower than the next tier. There's two whitelist phases, 0.06 Ethereum and 0.08 Ethereum right now is the set price. So if you buy it at 0.06, you're guaranteed about 1/3 of your money. Actually, that is 1/3 of your money if you resell it in the second phase. That's the easiest money you'll ever make. If you just invested and never got any value out of our community before we most likely drive the NFTs to 5 or 10 Ethereum a piece, and you want to sell it immediately, you're locking in a 33% profit just because you were early. Only 200 NFTs are going to be available in this first whitelist pre-sale phase. All right, and there's two phases. What does whitelist do, and why isn't this just an actual sale phase? Well, it's the most exclusive and profitable opportunity in the entire roadmap. First, you get to shape the art. So if you're a whitelister, before we actually start the pre-sale phase or the regular public phase, those up to 800 people, because that's how many tokens will be available between pre-sale phase 1 and pre-sale phase 2, you're going to get to design the mint and art collection. Whitelist members are going to finalize traits and characteristics that we're already talking through with our artists. We're already working up the lists, and when the whitelist drops, you guys get to have the final say in what gets tweaked, what we keep, and what we throw out. Because when we mint the NFTs, you guys are going to get a placeholder. It's going to be like a locked image. Kind of imagine like the old Lego Star Wars games, right? Where you had the silhouette of the character. You couldn't see what it was. You just knew it was some locked character you wanted to get unlocked. I remember that as a kid. But you want to get that. You want to figure out what it is. Nobody's going to know exactly what their operator looks like, what their exclusive one-of-one collectible token looks like until all of the mint phases are done, because it encourages you guys to hold on to them and actually see the value first in the community. This is going to drive the price higher and higher because less and less people are going to wait or want to sell and will wait and hold on to their token. And the next thing you do is obviously getting first access. Early supporters get recognition forever inside of the community. You're always going to have either that OG mark or that whitelist mark and get invited to exclusive rooms that other people just won't, because you have proven to have the highest amount of belief in something that we're building because you're first. And finally, you get the guaranteed upside. That's the lowest entry price you'll ever see, ever on this. Even if you're just here as an investor, you're looking at a minimum of 30% margin by the time public phases open. That's like me telling you, like, buy this stock. This is the lowest price. This is like insider information. This is the lowest price a stock's ever going to be. If you only know it's going to go up from here, how many of you are going to not take on that opportunity? Most of you have a couple $100 that you would decide to put into the investment then, especially if you can multiply that and have several of these. You could sell off the ones that are profitable and keep basically free membership by paying yourself back. I want to put that into perspective. If you buy one, NFT in whitelist, by the time we move into public phase, the floor price is already going to be higher. Hold it for 2 weeks, right? You made a return, a significant return, way, way faster than you might make in even 2 to 3 years on the stock market. But if you're here for the value, the funding, and the tools, the syndicate access, then you're looking at a lifetime of upside. Because the more value, the more companies we invest in. Imagine we have 500 companies that we have a foothold in across the entire globe that are making money, that Altura gets to benefit from. That's all coming back into the community fund. And it's driving the value of everyone's token higher and higher. And that's never going to go down because we're just continuing to scale our presence. This isn't a short-term flip. Some of you guys are going to buy that to make that 30% profit off of the first early sale phase. That's great. It's the cheapest ticket, though, into something that's going to build millionaires from the inside out. And so I would encourage you guys to look first at the potential behind it and not just buy it for the pretty much guaranteed upside behind it. Now, here's the hard truth that most people often that are watching right now are going to hesitate on, especially hearing the words. I tried to put myself writing this script in your shoes and say, what would be the things I would be concerned about? Again, you can also drop them in the comments and I'll respond to them live. But most people hear an opportunity. I think if I heard myself say this on the other side of the camera where you guys are sitting right now, I would be hesitant. I'd first watch others take it to make sure it was legit, or I'd just wait indefinitely. I'd say there's probably a good time. I'll just know when the feeling's right. And then you'll watch 50 of them be sold. You'll watch 100, and then you'll watch 200. And then the cheapest price to ever buy one of these is gone. Your 30% guaranteed margin off that first to second phase is eliminated. And this is probably the safest time somebody will ever come your way and say, this is one of the ways you can lock that in. Because you didn't believe. And it's hard, right? It's hard to take the leap because you have so much evidence saying, I don't know if I can trust this yet. That's why reward is linked to risk most of the time. And we all know how scarcity works, right? Just to remind you, like Bored Apes, like Supreme, like all of that stuff. Let me go to my next page of notes. But people realize it's often too late, right? And they're paying multiples to get in. If you bought a Bored Ape now, you're paying $50,000 for something that could have cost you $200. But there's that return, right? The higher you believe initially, the less money you have to pay. So if you have less money or you want to make a higher return and that's what you're in it for, then you need to buy immediately. The choice is simple. Do you want to be inside the syndicate when it forms, or do you want to watch it grow from the outside first and then maybe be lucky enough to get one of them before it costs as much as a teacher's annual salary in the US? It's going to be elite, and it's going to make common people elite because of how expensive it's going to be and how much value you're going to drive to yourself by us adding value in the marketplace. I want to bring this full circle. Hype alone can't build a future. Vision alone can't create urgency. You need some sort of combination of both, right? Supreme relies on hype to sell things, but their brand is still that red box logo that goes on everything. You'd identify it anywhere, and it lasts between multiple collections. It doesn't expire each Thursday. When you combine them, like we're combining the hype of NFTs and the insane scarcity. When we have 250,000 followers, 8,000 tokens, especially when you can buy and hold more than one at a time, is going to be like nothing. It's going to be insanely scarce. And if you combined the hype with the vision, the value we're driving, the community fund, the millions of dollars going back to you guys, you create a movement. That's what Altura is. It's scarcity to spark hype, because the time and the opportunity to hold one of these is going to be so limited between each phase. We're scaling them up more progressively, right? We could just open up all 800 at once in the whitelist. That was the initial intent, but we decided that breaking it down to multiple pre-sale phases allows us to market in between each one, drive more hype, drive the value through the roof, and we could even keep raising the price, which brings more money into the community fund for you guys and more money for your projects. So everyone wins. And your floor price, the cheapest NFT on the marketplace, goes up. So therefore, you can sell your token above that price and make more and more money. We're not selling art, though. I want to make that very clear. We're not just selling art. We're not one of those collections. The whitelist gets to help design the art. So you guys get to have your role on the art piece that'll be in Times Square someday. That'll be on your Instagram feed. That'll be in the news about this digital Silicon Valley of people all across the world creating companies that are taking down Microsoft, TikTok, the biggest tech companies in the world. And they're just a bunch of kids maybe, or young adults pooling their resources. That's powerful. And the reason these companies stay in power is because not enough of us decide it's in our interest to work together. Altura is here to prove that. We're here to build an entrepreneurial syndicate designed to last generations. So that way your grandchildren can still hold the same token we're selling today that you helped design on the whitelist and say that I had a part in that. I was part of that revolution that made history, that gave power back to the average person. And the first test of all of it, like any other revolution in history, was simple. Belief before evidence. Start the fire. Put the article out. Challenge the redcoats to start the US Revolution. Throw the first stone and see how it sticks. So here's what I want you guys to do right now. I want you to go into our Discord. The link is through the website. If you go on the website that's in the description of this live stream, you can go through Rumble into alturasociety.com. You can also just look that up on your phone, www.alturasociety.com, and click the link to engage, to get access to our mindset course, our initial materials that we've already given out before the mint, and just start engaging in the chat. Show people why you believe this is true. And when enough of you do that, that's the exact thing that translates that vision that I'm explaining to you into concrete matter, into actions, into text messages on a screen, things you can see in this physical world. And that's exactly how manifestation works. That's why I'm here every day until we'll launch the mint. So you guys can trust me, you guys can trust the vision, and then you can take action. So that way we can create something that the rest of the world simply can't. And I want you to get ready. I want you to engage and ideally bring one person that you know personally who would thrive inside Altura. If you knew, right, this is the lowest price you can get this token, it's only going to go up. How many people would you be begging to help buy it with you and make insane money? You'd look like the bad friend if you weren't inviting your buddies to participate, especially when the value of not selling is getting thousands of dollars of benefit a month. You could hoard it for yourself and keep the opportunity alone. But how many times is it better that you see online when there's groups or syndicates or friend groups of people that actually know each other, winning together, driving Lamborghinis together, owning successful businesses, traveling the world? Do it with the people you know in real life. Show them that this digital community is now manifesting in a physical form. Okay? Pick your closest childhood friend, your high school buddy, your college roommate, whoever you think is going to push that mission forward. That one person that's probably already coming across in your mind, and share the link to them. alturasociety.com. Say, check it out, man. I think you'd like this. And if you do just that, if enough of you do just that, we're going to do exactly what I just said. Because your actions, joining in the movement, raising your torch with me, is what gets a movement started, what gets recognized, what gets put on the news, and what guarantees success. October 1st is when the pre-sale happens. If you're on the whitelist, if you earn that status by chatting, by being active in the community, you'll know when you level up and unlock it, it'll tell you. Then you get to buy it at the cheapest price ever and lock in your profit. There's 200 NFTs, not 200 spots, 200 NFTs. So if everybody buys 20 of them, that's 10 people could buy out the entire collection of the first phase. Guaranteed upside, generational opportunity. Most are going to watch. Very few of you guys will probably act, but that's exactly why I'm saying this, because I want the people that choose to, because you guys have proven something the rest of the world simply doesn't have, and that's choosing belief. So enter the syndicate. I'm Caleb Schulke, and this has been the Ascended Podcast. We're going to be back inside the community at 8 p.m. Central Time, right? It's currently 7:23 p.m. Central. So at 8 p.m., we're going to start doing raids. So I'll hop back on the live stream, and we're going to start putting out Twitter content and pushing our posts and engaging inside other communities to bring and raid members into our protocol. We want to show them why we're so much different and why our opportunity is better than these simple meme projects. We want to bring value back to NFTs. We want to bring belief back in a blockchain system and the fact that you can be decentralized. You can trust in other people to hold up a system, and you don't need a rich Fortune 500 company to dish out the little scraps to help you survive. I want to see you guys inside. I want to see you active in the chats. And most importantly, I want to see you inside as a holder. If there's anything I can do to help, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them here. Otherwise, it's been my honor to be here. As I said, I'll be back tomorrow with another live stream. It's going to be a grind these next 10 days, but we will sell out those 200. Take care, and I'll see you at 8.